Hi guys, today I will teach you how to make Black MIDI vids using Arduino's Zenith MIDI Renderer. First, open Zenith. I will put the links in the description. This is what you should see once it opens. I don't know why or what KDM API means and why it fails to load in the first place, but it seems like it's not important. I might be wrong, but Zenith works properly without it. Select and import your MIDI file by clicking on the Load button. If it shows this error, it means Zenith doesn't like your MIDI file. It commonly happens if you made your MIDI on FL Studio Mobile, so I am going to teach you how to fix that. Go to FL Studio, the desktop version. Press File, then press Import, and select the MIDI file you made on FL Studio Mobile. Now put the MIDI pattern to track. You could also add a BPM automation track if your MIDI needs one. After that, go to the Tools tab, Macros, then click Prepare for MIDI Export. Once you press it, this would appear. Press OK. This makes it so that the MIDI would work on export. If you didn't use this, the MIDI file will be empty and not work at all. This will appear once it's done. Now, go to the File tab, press Export, then Export as MIDI file. Name your file anything you want. I usually export my FL Studio Mobile MIDIs with file names that contain spaces, but the MIDI exported from here typically uses file names without spaces. Now click Start. There is nothing to change here. And now this is your fixed file. The Zenith MIDI Renderer will accept this one now. And no, Zenith MIDI Renderer isn't racist against FL Studio Mobile MIDIs. I genuinely have no idea why those exports sometimes make it panic. Now anyway, you could now load your MIDI. It should work by now. Dude is ready. Now I recommend changing the note size to time-based. It makes the notes longer. Because if you use stick-based, it will make the notes small, plus it also has slower scale speed. Now go to Modules and select any MIDI style. I chose MIDI Trail Plus because it's highly used and many people like it. And if your MIDI uses 88 keys, change the first note to 21 and the last note to 108. If your MIDI has 128 keys though, just remain it like this. Zenith uses 128 keys by default. After you are done customizing things on module settings, you might experience a problem upon rendering. When you press Start Render, you will get an error saying this.
There was an issue starting the ffmpeg process, and the system cannot find the file specified.
It's basically trying to tell you that ffmpeg isn't installed on your Zenith. I will show a tutorial later at the end of this video. Here is the website where you get the ffmpeg, by the way. Since this website is full of ffmpeg files, you might get confused on what file to use. The file you need is ffmpeg-release-essentials.zip. Anyways, back to where we are. Now onto the Render tab. Here you need to make a save file. Go to your MIDI folder, then name your file. I don't recommend using the Include Audio feature because the audio could be delayed. I recommend using editing apps to add audio. Before rendering, I recommend double checking if your settings are right. But yeah, if you press the Start Render button and you see a mistake, the Stop button is right there. Well, that's rendering. Let's move on to Keppy's MIDI Converter, also known as KMC. This program is used to render the MIDI's audio separately from the video. Basically, Zenith MIDI Renderer handles the visuals while KMC handles the actual sound output. Why do we do this separately? Because rendering audio through dedicated MIDI renderers usually gives better sound quality, more sound font support, fewer audio issues, and way more control over the final output. So if your MIDI sounds like a dying microwave using default Windows sounds, this is the part that fixes it. From here, go to the Actions tab and press Import MIDIs. Then after that, select your MIDI file. Now select a sound font. I use the sheet music DOS Yamaha C7 sound font I found in Musical Artifacts. I recommend using another sound font because the poster of the Yamaha C7 from SMB said that it probably comes from an unknown paid VST. So basically I am telling you that I am just risking my life for my Black MIDI vids. After you put your sound font, press preview MIDI/S to preview and hear your MIDI. Now that sounds cool. Then now we proceed to render it to MP3 LAME. Select the folder you want it to appear on. I usually put my MP3 renders on my downloads folder because I do not know what I do in life. That's the slowest audio render I have done compared to my other MIDIs. I think it's because this thing is like 5 minutes long. But this usually is quicker if your MIDI is 1 to 3 minutes long. Now I will show you my settings in KMC. To open the settings, click Open Settings. Very obvious, am I right? But there is one thing you want to change here. It's the maximum voices. It is defaulted to 200 voices, but I recommend changing it to higher value like 2000 if your MIDI has a ton of notes in each parts. Now on to adding ffmpeg as I promised. First, find your Zenith folder and the ffmpeg 8.1 essentials.zip file. If downloaded Zenith by its installer, it should be on your %app.a% folder. I downloaded the x86 version of Zenith, so that's why it's in my downloads. Once you open the zip file, open the folder, then open the bin folder. There it is, the ffmpeg-x. Now just drag it to your Zenith folder and you're done. That's probably all that I could teach. If I forgot something, do not hesitate to comment it.
Amor.